even just thinking back to like when we would do a shovel in the ground, and those kind of things as a kid are like stakes in the ground where I remember being out on that field that Sunday after church.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm at the space where it's like I'm starting to experience that, like, we are the ones building.
That's right.
We are the ones that, if it's not us, who is it? There's just something about being part of, something bigger than you. And as a teenager at that point, it was saying, you know what, this is my church. I want to be part of where we're going and where we're headed and what's next. Last year when it was announced, hey, this Heart for the House Sunday's coming up, I'd heard of other churches doing this separate, vision offerings. So I liked the idea, but I remember being a little bit caught off guard, and so I had to wrestle with that for sure. I wasn't opposed to giving. I was just having to work through, okay, what's my hang up? What's my frustration? What's my concern? And I remember the time when Heidi had recommended, what if we gave like a seed? And we gave on behalf of each of our 3 kids. That was a kind of a neat moment for me because I like things to have meaning. I like things to have purpose and be connected. And it was a way for me to say, okay, there's a starting point now. Now how much are we going to give per kid? That was just for me kind of like this moment of settling. Okay, yeah. I'm giving for the next generation. I'm giving for them. I'm sowing this seed, believing that this will be a place for my kids to call home, my kids' kids to call home. I think it's important to, from one generation to the next, that we proclaim, that we set up, monuments to what God has done, and we don't let it just fall through the cracks and just assume people understand the whys. I'm constantly asking myself the question, am I willing to sacrifice like these people sacrificed here in the church? Sometimes it's easier to let someone else run with the vision, let someone else host the home base or, serve on a Sunday. But I don't think we're called to do what's easy or necessarily the most convenient. Being part of a generational church is saying, I'm going to step up and support in a way that adds value, because I think that's what we're called to do. I think the idea of Heart for the House is saying, okay, God, I don't just have a heart for my own house. I don't just have a heart for my own life, but I've got a heart for your house. I want to hold in balance that what I have and what I've prepared and what God has and what He's prepared. And they won't always be a perfect match. And then being willing to say, okay, I'll release it. It's yours anyways. I think God takes a heart for His house and multiplies it, not just financially, but I think there's a power when we come together as a church. And I ultimately really want to have a heart that's for this house and a heart for His house, not just my own.